Two Catholic nuns, Sister Maureen Kelleher and Sister Catherine Cassidy, and I formed Florida Immigrant Advocacy Center in 1996 because Congress was working to pass a new law that would severely restrict immigrants' access to pro bono legal services. When that law went into effect 9 months later, we were ready. In our first year, we inherited more than 3,000 cases from legal services agencies. We quickly became the go-to agency for other immigrant advocates, lawmakers, and the media, both locally and nationally. In 2012, we changed our name to Americans for Immigrant Justice to better reflect our national impact. AI Justice is recognized as a first-rate law firm and a respected advocate for common-sense immigration reforms. We seek funding to do critical work that few others tackle. For example, the number of unaccompanied immigrant children fleeing their countries has escalated dramatically since 2011. While we've saved countless children over the years, for the first time, we're having to turn away cases due to a lack of funding, and these children have nowhere else to turn. We also need to raise more unrestricted funds. More than 90% of our funding comes from grants and contracts. Most come with restrictions as to what we can and can't do. We need funds to help human trafficking survivors and children with compelling cases who face imminent deportation. We also need funds to increase our public advocacy, to advocate for systemic change, and to challenge the government when it engages in serious human rights violations. AI Justice is the rare organization that works directly with clients and in the halls of Congress. We put a face on the injustices against immigrants. Our experience with clients, including those in detention, shows us how dysfunctional immigration policies harm people. We write groundbreaking reports that give immigrants a voice. We'll also challenge abuses in federal court when necessary. We have the ear of influential allies, including prominent Democrats and Republicans, and 4 former AI Justice attorneys who work in the Hill. Though we have a Washington, D.C. office, our policy work is informed by immigrant clients, so we bring a unique perspective to the table. AI Justice has an exceptional staff with years of experience. Our attorneys could make much more money in prestigious law firms, but they're dedicated to their clients and our mission. Our advocacy is compelling because our work with individual clients informs our policy recommendations. Our clients put a face on the issues and the solutions. Asylum seekers, survivors of human trafficking, and children without families have all testified before Congress. Staff members also testify on Capitol Hill. And our detailed reports put a face on injustices against immigrants and document the need for reforms. Success in advocacy work is measured by policy changes. For example, in 2012, we partnered with young adults who came to this country as children. They're called Dreamers, and this is their home. They want to work here and go to college or serve in the military. Together with Dreamer leaders, we succeeded in convincing the White House to offer temporary relief to hundreds of thousands of Dreamers. With clients, success is measured by milestones. When they're released from detention, are reunited with their families, or get legal status and become productive members of our communities. It's also measured by justice for client survivors, achieved when we help law enforcement convict criminal human traffickers and domestic violence abusers. One common misperception is that AI Justice only helps immigrants who have no chance of obtaining legal status. Not so. We only take a case if the person has a legitimate claim for relief or has suffered human rights violations. Another assumption is that we're a partisan organization. In fact, our bipartisan board and honorary board include prominent members of both political parties. AI Justice has closed 80,000 cases since opening our doors in 1996. We've won precedent-setting cases, protecting survivors of human trafficking and domestic abuse, and children forced to join street gangs. We've obtained asylum for prominent human rights activists, including Chilean and Haitian journalists, an award-winning Cuban documentarian, and a member of Guatemala's Truth Commission. We've also represented countless girls and women forced into sexual slavery, helped convict their abusers, and got them restitution. We've exposed deplorable immigration detention conditions, prompting high-level government investigations. We've helped shape laws, improving protections for human trafficking survivors and unaccompanied children. We've also created a holistic program for these children, and our government has recognized it as a model program for care providers throughout the country. The U.S. economic downfall took a toll on our major funder, the Florida Bar Foundation. When interest income dropped, our funding dropped by $1 million over a 3-year span. We cut programs and positions and intensified our fundraising at a time when we were experiencing an increased demand for services. Despite our efforts, securing private and corporate funds has been challenging, partly because immigration is a complicated issue, often misrepresented and misunderstood. AI Justice would expand where the need is greatest, assisting unaccompanied children and trafficking survivors. Many such children are deserving of immigration relief, but the number of these children has escalated dramatically since 2011 and is continuing to increase due to gang violence in Central America. So while we're still able to advise all these children of their basic rights and screen their cases, our ability to then help those with compelling cases fight their deportation is seriously jeopardized. More resources would allow us to continue to represent many more, if not all, of these children who are fleeing for their lives. Similarly, Florida is considered ground zero in the unprecedented number of men, women, and children forced into slavery. While our Lucha program is recognized nationally and internationally, we've had to cut back on staff due to funding losses. Many deserving survivors therefore go unrepresented. Additional funding would allow us to represent more survivors and reunite them with their families. AI Justice is the only nonprofit providing free legal help to immigrants in all 6 Florida detention facilities, and with a few exceptions, the only agency providing Know Your Rights presentations to these detainees. However, given our resources, we can't regularly visit most facilities to meet with detainees and monitor their treatment. Additional resources for travel and staffing would allow us to systematically document abuses and take measures to stop them.